You know that neighbor? The one whose yard looks like a magazine shoot every single summer? Flowers everywhere. Color spilling over the edges of every bed. Bees working. Butterflies hovering. The whole yard just alive. And you're standing at your own garden bed, staring at bare dirt and wilted annuals you paid good money for last May, wondering what on earth you're doing wrong. Here is the truth. And I promise you, once you hear this, you will never waste money on the wrong plants again. That neighbor is not working harder than you. They are not spending more money than you. They made one decision probably years ago, and their garden has been paying them back every single spring since. They planted perennials. And not just any perennials. Fast-spreading perennials. Plants that come back every year, bigger and bolder than the season before. Plants that fill empty beds without being asked. Plants that multiply themselves, spread themselves, and ultimately transform a yard from a patch of dirt into a landscape that looks like it cost thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours to achieve. Today, I am giving you 15 of the absolute best ones. 15 fast-spreading perennials to plant this spring so that by summer, your yard looks like that yard. And next spring, it looks even better. And the spring after that, even better still. And here is the part that makes this really exciting. Spring is not just a good time to plant these. Spring is the right time. The soil is warming. The brutal heat of summer hasn't arrived yet. What you put in the ground right now has time to develop a strong root system before it ever has to deal with stress. Roots established in cool, moist spring soil will power plants that perform at a completely different level come July. We are counting down from 15 to 1. And I promise you, number 1 is going to stop you completely. You are going to want to go buy it before this video is even over. So stay with me all the way through because every single plant on this list earns its spot. Let's get into it. Plant number 15. Creeping Phlox, Phlox subulata. We are starting at number 15 with one of the most jaw-dropping spring spectacles in the entire plant world. And I genuinely mean that. Creeping Phlox does something in spring that almost no other plant can match. It produces such a thick, dense carpet of tiny flowers that the foliage virtually disappears underneath them. We are talking color so intense and so complete that it looks like someone painted the ground. Hot pink, magenta, soft lavender, pure white, deep purple, and it cascades over rocks, down slopes, over retaining walls, spilling down hillsides in waves of color that stop people in their cars. And then, after the bloom, it becomes a tidy, fine-textured, evergreen mat of needle-like foliage that holds its color all year. It suppresses weeds. It holds soil on slopes. It stays neat and structured through every season. How it spreads. Creeping Phlox spreads by sending out lateral stems that root as they go, slowly but steadily expanding its footprint year after year. Plant it along the top of a wall, and within a few seasons it will cascade dramatically over the edge like it belongs in a European garden. Care. Full sun to light shade. Well-drained soil. Give it a light trim after it finishes blooming to keep it compact and encourage vigorous regrowth. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Coming up. A plant at number 12 that practically eliminates your weeding problem entirely. Stick around. Plant number 14. Ornamental sage / salvia. Salvia nemorosa caridana. Number 14 is the plant that makes a garden look professionally designed without requiring a professional. Full stop. Salvia nemorosa caridana sends up tall, slender, deeply saturated violet-purple flower spikes on near-black stems. The color is so rich and so architectural that it commands the entire garden bed. It creates vertical drama that mounding plants simply cannot replicate. And from a design standpoint, those upright spikes contrast brilliantly against everything. Roses, ornamental grasses, broad-leafed perennials, feathery plants. It makes everything around it look better. But here is the performance story. Salvia caridana blooms in late spring to early summer. You cut it back, the Chelsea chop gardeners call it, and it rebounds with a second full flush of flowers in late summer. 2 bloom seasons. 1 plant. 1 spring planting. Deer resistant. Yes. Drought tolerant once established. Yes. One of the most important pollinator plants you can grow, specifically for bumblebees? Absolutely yes. How it spreads. Salvia expands through steady clump growth, getting wider and more impressive each year. It also self-seeds gently, producing new plants nearby that fill in gaps beautifully. Design tip: plant in drifts of odd numbers, groups of 3, 5, or 7. This creates that naturalistic, intentional look you see in magazine gardens. Costs nothing extra. It's just placement. Hardy zones 4 through 8. At number 11, I'll show you the plant that makes hummingbirds visit your garden every single morning. Don't go anywhere. Plant number 13. Coreopsis. Coreopsis verticillata, moonbeam. Number 13 is bottled sunshine. That is the only way I know how to describe it. Coreopsis moonbeam produces soft, warm, creamy yellow flowers. Not harsh neon. Not pale and washed out. Just this perfect glowing, buttery yellow that catches light like nothing else in a garden. And it covers the plant so completely you can barely see the foliage underneath. From early summer all the way through fall. One of the longest bloom seasons of any perennial that exists. The feathery thread-like foliage gives it an airy, delicate texture that makes it a brilliant contrast partner for bold, broad-leafed plants. And it won the Perennial Plant of the Year award, which is the industry's highest honor. It has held that reputation for over 3 decades because it simply works. How it spreads. Coreopsis moonbeam spreads through underground rhizomes, quietly pushing outward beneath the soil and establishing new growth points season after season. You plant a small clump in spring, and within 2 or 3 seasons you have a sweeping, glowing mass of yellow that fills its space beautifully. One critical note: Coreopsis does not like wet feet. Poor drainage kills it faster than drought ever will. If your soil holds water, amend with coarse sand and compost before planting. Get drainage right and this plant will thrive for 15-20 years in the same spot. Full sun. Average to dry soil. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Plant number 12. Liriope/Lilitif. Liriope muscari. Number 12. This is the plant I promised you. The one that helps solve your weeding problem. Liriope looks like an ornamental grass, dark, strappy, arching leaves that stay attractive from the moment new growth emerges in spring all the way through winter. In late summer, it sends up spikes of small purple or white flowers that are genuinely charming. But the real power of Liriope is what it does as a spreading ground cover. It handles deep shade. It handles full sun. It tolerates drought, compacted soil, slopes, and the impossible dry root-choked zone under large established trees where almost nothing else survives. Once established, it forms a dense enough mat to crowd out most weeds by shading the soil surface. How it spreads. Liriope spreads through underground stolons, expanding steadily outward and thickening its coverage year after year. In mild climates, it stays evergreen through winter, giving you structure and interest in every single month of the year. For problem spots, the dark corner, the dry strip along a fence, the difficult slope, Liriope is often the most useful plant in this entire video. Hardy in zones 5 through 10. Number 9 is the one that completely transformed how I think about designing a garden. It's coming up very soon, do not leave. Plant number 11. Bee Balm, Monarda didyma. Number 11. And this one delivers something none of the others on this list can deliver quite as dramatically. Bee Balm produces vivid, spiky, tubular flower heads in blazing red, soft pink, rich purple, and bright white that are genuinely unlike anything else in a garden. They look almost tropical, exotic, and that tubular flower shape is perfectly engineered by millions of years of evolution for hummingbird feeding. Hummingbirds will visit again and again, all season long. You plant bee balm in spring, and by midsummer you have hummingbirds hovering at your garden every single morning. Butterflies love it. Bees, as the name tells you, are absolutely devoted to it. It creates one of the most dynamic, wildlife-rich spectacles your yard can offer. How it spreads. Bee balm spreads quickly and enthusiastically through underground rhizomes. This is both its greatest strength and something to be aware of. To keep it contained, divide it every 2 to 3 years. To naturalize a large area fast, give it room and let it go. Care note: bee balm appreciates consistent moisture and good air circulation to reduce susceptibility to powdery mildew. Choose mildew-resistant varieties like Jacob Klein for red or Marshall's Delight for pink. Full sun to partial shade. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Plant number 10. Astilbe, Astilbe X Orentii. Number 10 is the plant that transforms the parts of your yard you've basically given up on. Most of the plants on this list want full sun. Astilbe thrives where most plants struggle. We are talking shade, dappled light, that north-facing corner, the bed under the canopy of mature trees, the spot along the north side of your house that gets barely any direct sun. In those spots, Astilbe does something magical. It sends up feathery plume-like flower spikes, called panicles, in white, pink, red, lavender, and coral that look like fireworks frozen in slow motion. The deeply cut, glossy foliage contributes beautiful texture even when the plant isn't in bloom, and the dried plume heads hold their russet-brown structure through fall and winter, giving you off-season interest that almost no other shade plant can provide. How it spreads. Astilbe expands steadily through clump division, getting larger and more impressive every season. Divide every 3 to 4 years and you get free plants to fill in more of that difficult shade. One key requirement: Astilbe needs consistently moist soil. It does not tolerate drought. Plant it near a downspout along a stream in a naturally moist low spot, and it will be happier there than anywhere else. Hardy in zones 4 through 9. Plant number 9. Russian sage, Perovskia atriplicifolia. Number 9. This is the one I told you about. The one that changed how I think about garden design entirely. Russian sage is drama. Pure, unapologetic, beautiful drama. Tall, silvery white stems. Small, deeply cut, aromatic leaves. And these hazy lavender-blue flower spikes that seem to float in the air like a cloud. Like a watercolor painting that someone placed in your garden and forgot to explain. From midsummer through fall, 3 to 4 solid months. Russian sage provides this shimmering, airy backdrop that makes every other plant around it look more beautiful by contrast. It moves in the breeze, catches the light. It has a misty, cloud-like quality that is genuinely unlike any other plant in the perennial world. And the care requirements are almost embarrassingly simple. Full sun, poor to average soil, and I mean that genuinely. It actually performs better in lean soil than in rich soil. Excellent drainage. Extreme drought tolerance. Deer and rabbit resistant. It handles heat. It handles wind. Tolerates neglect almost joyfully. How it spreads. Russian sage spreads through woody base growth and light self-seeding. Established plants get wider and more dramatic each season. One critical maintenance note: Russian sage is a subshrub, meaning the base becomes woody over time. Cut it back hard to 6 to 12 inches above ground every late winter or early spring. Skip this step and it gets floppy and loses that gorgeous upright form. Do it every year and you have a breathtaking specimen by midsummer. Hardy in zones 4 through 9. Number 6 is the plant that experienced gardeners call the single most indestructible perennial they have ever grown. Coming up, plant number 8. Catmint, Nepeta x fossini Walker's Low. Number 8, and don't let the name fool you. Walker's Low is not low in quality, performance, or visual impact. It is one of the highest performing, most versatile perennials you can grow in any landscape. Catmint forms beautiful, soft, slightly sprawling mounds covered in clouds of small lavender blue flowers over silvery gray aromatic foliage. It blooms heavily in late spring and continues through midsummer. Then, and this is the move, you shear it back by about a third after that first flush. Give it 2 to 3 weeks. It comes back full, lush, and reblooms in late summer and into fall. From a design standpoint, catmint is one of the most versatile perennials in existence. It works as a softening edge along pathways and borders, as a companion to roses, as a contrast to ornamental grasses. The combination of catmint and roses specifically is one of the most classic and beloved pairings in garden design history, a staple of English cottage gardens for generations. Drought-tolerant, deer-resistant, pollinators, especially bees, flock to it in enormous numbers. It attracts beneficial insects that help keep pest populations in check throughout your entire garden. How it spreads. Catmint expands steadily through clump growth, filling its designated space reliably without becoming invasive. Hardy in zones 3 through 8. Neighborhood cats may roll in it enthusiastically. This is not a problem. It is honestly entertaining. Plant number 7. Shasta Daisy, Leucanthemum x Superbum. Number 7. And if you have ever seen a garden that just looked effortlessly cheerful, bright, and alive, Shasta daisies were almost certainly involved. These are the timeless classics. Crisp white petals radiating out from a bold, bright yellow center. Clean, striking, and unmistakably beautiful. They make people stop. They make people ask what that is. And they do it for months, early summer all the way through fall, with almost no effort required from you. How it spreads. Shasta daisies spread in 2 powerful ways. First, through clumping, the root mass gets larger every year, producing more and more flowering stems. Second, through self-seeding, they drop seeds that germinate and create new plants nearby. You start with one small plant, and within a few seasons you can have a sweeping mass of white and yellow that looks completely intentional and completely stunning. Deadhead the spent blooms regularly, and they reward you with wave after wave of new flowers. Divide the clumps every 3 to 4 years to keep them vigorous and to multiply your plants for free. Full sun, well-draining soil, moderately drought-tolerant once established. Hardy in zones 4 through 9. Plant number 6. Sedum/stonecrop, Hylotelephium, Autumn Joy. Number 6. The plant experienced gardeners call the single most indestructible perennial they have ever grown. And after you hear what this plant does across every season, you will completely understand why. Sedum Autumn Joy starts the season as a tight architectural clump of blue-green succulent foliage. By late summer it produces flat-topped, broccoli-shaped flower clusters that open apple green, transition to dusty pink, deepen to rich rose, and by fall have transformed into a warm, glowing, rusty bronze red. Then winter comes, and sedum stands. It holds its structure through cold, through wind, through snow. The bronze seed heads catch winter light in a way that is genuinely beautiful. Most perennials give you 1 good season. Sedum Autumn Joy gives you 4. It is a succulent. It stores water in its thick fleshy leaves. Drought is almost irrelevant to it. Rocky soil, sandy soil, blazing full sun all day, sedum does not care. It is the plant you reach for in every difficult, hot, dry, sunny spot in your yard. It has never, in my experience, let a gardener down. How it spreads. Sedum expands through clump growth, getting wider and more architectural each season. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Ecological note. Late-season pollinators, particularly monarch butterflies migrating south in fall, flock to autumn joy sedum. If supporting monarch migration matters to you, this plant is one of the most concrete actions you can take. That is documented ecological value, not garden mythology. Plant number 5. Yarrow, Achillea millefolium. Number 5. And this is what experienced gardeners call the ultimate survivor. Yarrow does not want your attention. It does not need rich soil. It does not need regular watering. It does not need much of anything except sunlight. And in return, it gives you flat-topped flower clusters in yellow, white, pink, red, and salmon, held above feathery, silvery green foliage that is beautiful even when the plant isn't in bloom. But here is what most gardeners do not know about yarrow. It is allelopathic. It releases compounds into the surrounding soil that actually suppress weed growth around it. You are getting a natural weed suppressant built directly into your landscape just by planting it. And beyond that, it attracts parasitic wasps, lacewings, and hoverflies that feed on common garden pests like aphids. Pest control, weed suppression, beautiful flowers, pollinator support, all from one plant. How it spreads. Yarrow spreads aggressively through 2 mechanisms, lateral underground rhizomes and prolific self-seeding. This is both its greatest strength and something to manage. Divide it every 2 to 3 years to keep it from overtaking neighboring plants. But here's the thing, every division is a free plant. Counterintuitive care tip. Yarrow actually performs worse in rich, fertile soil. It gets floppy and leggy. Plant it in your worst soil. Give it full sun and minimal water after establishment, and it will reward you with months of blooms. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Cut flower bonus. Yarrow is one of the best fresh and dried cut flowers you can grow. The flower heads dry beautifully, hold their color for months, and are highly sought after for dried arrangements and wreaths. Number 2 on this list can live for 100 years. Not 10. Not 20. 100 years. I will explain everything when we get there. Plant number 4. Daylily hemerocallis. Number 4. The workhorse, the classic, and the most widely adapted flowering perennial on this entire list. There are over 80,000 registered daylily cultivars. 80,000. Hot oranges, soft creamy yellows, rich burgundies, deep reds, delicate pinks, lavenders, bicolors. There is a daylily for every taste, every style, every color scheme imaginable. And no matter which one you choose, the performance story is the same. Low effort, high reward, year after year after year. Each individual flower lasts only one day. That's where the name comes from. But each plant produces so many buds on so many stems that you barely notice. There is always something new opening. Waves of color from early summer through fall, especially when you combine early, mid-season, and late-blooming varieties. How it spreads. Daylilies spread through expanding tuberous root fans, with clumps getting larger and producing more flowering stems every season. Every few years, divide the clumps. Each division is a free plant. A small clump planted this spring can become a sweeping, weed-suppressing mass of color within 2 or 3 seasons. Full sun to partial shade. Adaptable to a huge range of soils. Drought-tolerant once established. Hardy in USDA zones 1 through 11 for many cultivars, essentially the entire country. One critical note. Daylilies are highly toxic to cats. All parts of the plant, including the pollen. If your cats spend time in the garden, this is a plant to skip or fence off carefully. Plant number 3. Coneflower, Echinacea purpurea. Number 3. And if you have never grown coneflowers, this ends today. Because this plant is one of the most forgiving, most rewarding, most ecologically valuable perennials you will ever put in the ground. Echinacea purpurea produces those gorgeous daisy-like flowers, deep rose-purple petals radiating from a spiky, copper-orange center cone that looks like something out of a painting. And the cultivar range has exploded in recent years. Purple, pink, white, orange, red, yellow. There are now coneflower varieties in almost every color imaginable. It blooms from midsummer all the way into fall. When most other plants are starting to look tired and brown, coneflowers are still out there performing. And when the flowers fade, the seed heads remain. Leave them standing through winter and goldfinches, sparrows, and other seed-eating birds feed on them constantly. You are supporting wildlife and getting natural reseeding at the same time. 2 enormous benefits. 0 extra effort. How it spreads. Coneflowers spread in 2 ways. They expand through clump division, and they self-seed generously. You plant one, and within a few seasons you have 12. And every one of those 12 is a free plant that you can leave in place, move, or share with someone whose garden needs help. One of the highest value pollinator plants you can grow, attracting monarchs, swallowtails, and a huge range of native bees. Deer resistant, drought tolerant once established, full sun to light shade, hardy in zones 3 through 9. Division tip. Every 3 to 4 years, when the center of the clump starts dying out and the plant looks less vigorous, dig it up, split it into sections and replant. You rejuvenate the plant and multiply it simultaneously. People pay $15 per plant at the nursery. You are making new ones with a shovel. Plant number 2. Black-eyed Susan, Rudbeckia fulgida, goldsturm. Number 2. The workhorse of the perennial garden. And it does not get nearly enough credit. Black-eyed Susan goldsturm produces masses of golden yellow flowers with that striking deep brown, almost black center that gives the plant its name. The contrast is vivid, electric, and genuinely beautiful. And it blooms from midsummer all the way through early fall, exactly when a lot of other perennials are winding down. It fills the mid to late season gap perfectly. The goldsturm cultivar specifically has been proven in university studies to bloom longer and more prolifically than the straight species. It grows 24 to 30 inches tall, forms tight clumps, and is exceptionally heat and humidity tolerant. If you garden in zone 7, 8, or 9 where summers are brutal and most flowering plants give up by August, this plant refuses to quit. How it spreads. Black-eyed Susan spreads through both rhizome expansion underground and prolific self-seeding. Leave a few seed heads standing through winter and you will have new seedlings in spring. Birds love those seeds too. Goldfinches and chickadees will work the seed heads throughout winter. Pair it with coneflower from number 3, and you have a pollinator paradise that blooms for nearly 5 months straight. That combination is one of the most recommended native plant pairings for creating ecologically valuable gardens. Full sun. Average to dry soil. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Number 1 is coming. And I promise, it is going to completely change how you think about what a spring-planted perennial can do for your yard all year round. Plant number 1. Lavender, Lavandula angustifolia. Number 1. And before you say anything, yes, lavender earns this spot. And by the time I finish telling you exactly what this plant does, you are going to completely understand why nothing else could sit at the top of this list. Lavender is the plant that does everything. Fragrance that stops people mid-stride. Iconic purple flower spikes that bloom in early to midsummer and dry beautifully on the plant. Silver gray foliage that looks structured and elegant every single day of the year, including winter in mild climates. And a relationship with pollinators so powerful that entire commercial industries have been built around it. Lavender honey exists as a culinary product specifically because bees are so magnetically drawn to lavender fields that beekeepers position hives nearby to capture it. But here is what makes lavender the number 1 spring-planted perennial for a lush landscape all year round. It is a 4-season plant. In spring, fresh silver-green growth emerges. In early summer, the flower spikes open and the fragrance fills your entire yard. Through late summer and fall, the dried flower heads hold their structure and color on the plant. In winter, That silver-gray mounding form gives your garden shape and structure when everything else has disappeared. How it spreads. Lavender expands steadily through woody-based growth, becoming a larger, more dramatic mounding specimen each year. In good conditions, a single plant can eventually reach 2 to 3 feet wide and equally tall. A substantial, fragrant, beautiful anchor for any garden bed. The truth about lavender that most gardeners get wrong. Lavender evolved on rocky, alkaline hillsides in the Mediterranean. It wants poor, lean, well-draining soil. It does not want to be fertilized heavily. It does not want wet feet. Overwatering is essentially the only reliable way to kill it. If you are the kind of gardener who tends to forget about plants for stretches of time, lavender is literally made for you. The less you fuss, the better it does. Regional guidance. English lavender, Lavandula angustifolia. Look for Hidcote or Munstead. Is hardy to zone 5 and handles colder winters better than other varieties. For zones 9 through 11, look to Lavandula X intermedia, Lavandin, which handles heat better. For zone 4 gardeners, Phenomenal is one of the hardiest cultivars available and is exceptional in challenging climates. Annual pruning is essential and non-negotiable. Right after flowering, cut back by about 1/3. Never cut into old woody growth with no green leaves. It will not regenerate from bare wood. Light annual pruning keeps lavender compact, productive, and beautiful for 10 to 15 years. Skip pruning and within a few years you have a woody, hollow, declining plant that needs replacing. Prune it every year. Put it in your calendar right now. The plant that smells extraordinary. Looks beautiful in every season. Requires almost no care once established. Actively repels mosquitoes near your patio. Produces dried flowers useful in cooking, sachets, and tea. And makes your garden look and feel like somewhere people genuinely want to spend time. That is why lavender is #1. Before you go, let me give you the information that separates gardeners who succeed with these plants from gardeners who plant them and wonder why they are struggling. Bonus 1. Soil preparation. Every single plant on this list will perform significantly better in well-prepared soil. Before planting, dig down 12 to 18 inches and work in 2 to 3 inches of compost. This improves drainage in clay soils and water retention in sandy soils. Healthy soil is the highest return investment you can make in your garden. More than any fertilizer. More than any special product. Get the soil right first. Bonus 2. The spring window explained. The soil is warming but summer heat hasn't arrived. What you plant right now has time to establish a strong, resilient root system before it has to deal with drought stress, heat stress, or anything else summer throws at it. Roots established in cool, moist spring soil are dramatically more resilient than roots trying to establish in dry summer heat. This is not a minor difference. It changes the entire trajectory of how a plant performs. Bonus 3. Mulching. Apply 2 to 3 inches of organic mulch around your perennials every spring. This suppresses weeds, retains moisture, moderates soil temperature, and slowly improves your soil as it breaks down. Keep mulch pulled back an inch or 2 from the crown of the plant to prevent rot. Mulching properly can reduce your watering frequency by up to 50%. Bonus 4. Right plant, right place. Every failure with perennials, lavender dying in wet soil, sedum flopping in shade, astilbe wilting in drought, comes down to one thing: wrong plant in the wrong place. Before you buy, match the plant's needs to your actual conditions. Not the conditions you wish you had. Your actual conditions. This single habit separates gardeners who succeed from gardeners who keep replacing things every year. Bonus 5. The perennial math. This year, you plant. Next year, those plants come back bigger. The year after that, bigger still. You divide them and multiply your plants for free. Within 3 to 5 years, the garden that cost you $50 in plants looks like a professional landscape worth thousands. While your neighbors spend money on annuals every spring, your garden is already coming back, already blooming, already doing everything without asking you for anything in return. That is the perennial promise. And now you have 15 of the best ones to make it happen. There you have it. 15 fast-spreading perennials to plant this spring for a landscape that fills in, fills out, and delivers color, fragrance, and life all year round, year after year. If this gave you even one plant you hadn't thought of before, one strategy that's going to change what you put in the ground this season, do me a quick favor right now. Hit that like button. It genuinely helps more gardeners find this content who need it. And drop a comment below. Tell me, which of these 15 are you starting with this spring? I read every single comment and I genuinely want to know what you're planting. If you are not subscribed yet, this is the moment. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell notification because we drop practical, accurate, actionable garden content every single week. No filler, no fluff, just the information that actually makes your garden better. See you in the next one.